This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, July 28th, 2006, and this is episode number 132 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. On the show today is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
That's what you think, you long drink of water?
Ooh, Hall of Presidents.
Yes.
Ooh.
Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln-Douglas debates.
If I didn't sleep through that attraction, I might have known it. The other panelist on today's show is Len Tesda, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome to the show, Len.
Hey-ho.
Hey, Len, when does the... that's my name, Len. When does the Unofficial Guide came out?
When does the Unofficial Guide came out?
Started me down on Len.
I love your unconventional mix of the past and future tense, or the present and future tense. It's that
it's bizarre
not strict adherence to grammar or rules that I really admire about you.
I try to emulate Bizarro in any.
Thanks. It's August 21st.
Great. Be sure to look for that on the newsstands, on bookstores.
On newsstands, yeah. It won't be there, but yeah.
And theaters everywhere.
Theaters everywhere, exactly.
Well, on today's show, we're going to be discussing the Kevin Bacon touring plan. And what that means is how Kevin Bacon is linked to the attractions at the Magic Kingdom. Now, Len has,
Len has wasted some time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Bob Sellinger and you're wondering what you're paying Len for, well, here it is.
Don't listen to this. Stop listening now.
Len has painstakingly gone through every attraction at the Magic Kingdom and seen if there is a link to Kevin Bacon. Now, of course, this is kind of a spoof of the 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon. I'm sure I can Google. Check the show notes if you have no idea what I'm talking about. I'll run a quick Google search and put a link into that.
Well, we can do an overview. So for those of you who haven't heard this before, there's this. It's a spoof off the movie 6 Degrees of Separation, where in the movie there's no more than 6 people between you and anyone else in the world. So, for example, I know Matt. Matt knows Matt's parents. Therefore, there's only one person. There's only 1 degree of separation between myself and Matt's parents. So it's the same idea, but with Kevin Bacon, where you can link any actor in Hollywood to Kevin Bacon, either through the films that they were in with Kevin Bacon, or the films that they were in with other people, and those other people were in films with other people who were in films with Kevin Bacon.
And
so we've decided to link every attraction in the Magic Kingdom back to Kevin Bacon. And today we'll do Adventureland through Fantasyland, Adventureland, Frontierland, Liberty Square, and Fantasyland. We'll save the Toontown and Tomorrowland for another show.
So let's start out with Adventureland.
All right. So in Adventureland, we've got the Swiss Family Treehouse, right?
All right.
So if we're walking clockwise through the park, that's the first attraction. We'll see. It's Swiss Family Treehouse is based on a 1960 Disney film, and in that film, an actor named Sesu Hayakawa was Koalu the Pirate Chief in the film. Like, I'm sure you guys have all seen this, right? And you've admired Mr. Hayakawa's work.
Oh, yes.
He also happened to be in a movie in 1959 called Green Mansions with Bill Saito. Bill was in The Perfect Weapon in 1991 with Beau Starr. And Beau Starr was in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 with the estimable Kevin Bacon.
What is that, 3 degrees of separation?
3 degrees of separation.
Whoa.
I thought for a second when you referenced the guy in Swiss Family Treehouse, you were going to pull like, he was the third extra.
Oh, no, I'll get to this later on. Because, on some of these things, it's pretty obvious. Like for the Jungle Cruise, it's based on the 1951 film, The African Queen, right? So Humphrey Bogart's in there. You can use there's actually a website called the Oracle of Bacon at Virginia, which will actually figure all this out for you. Then you use the IMDb movie database.
Right.
And so those and Lou Mangello's book are really, really good. I think those are the 3 things you need to play this sport. But let's move on.
All right.
So the next attraction that you'll see is the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, right?
Okay.
Okay, and that was based on the 1992 Disney film. Interestingly, one of the people who lent their vocal talents to the film was Corey Burton. And Corey is interesting because not only did he work on this film, but he also did you remember the Walt Disney World Explorer CD?
Yes.
He actually did the voices on that. All right. Well, Corey was also in the film Amazon Women on the Moon with David Alan Grier. And David Alan Grier was in The Woodsman with the illustrious Kevin Bacon.
I just decided I'm not doing show notes for this episode.
I'll print them all out for you.
All right, well that works out then better. Then
Yeah,
we'll make show
that's
notes again.
Yeah, I've sent it on the Scopa, so we'll go there. So, all right. So the next one is the Enchanted Tiki Room. Again, that's the obvious ones there, like Don Rickles, or Phil Hartman, the late Phil Hartman, right?
And of course, you could have copped out right there and used Iago, and gone back to the Aladdin link again.
And I didn't.
Ooh.
Instead, I went with Disney. Who's the Disney veteran? Wally Bogg is the voice of Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in The Love Bug in 1968 with Dick Warlock. Dick Warlock was in Quicksilver in 1986 with the illustrious Kevin Bacon.
Extra points for difficulty right there.
Exactly. Thank you. So Pirates of the Caribbean was the next one, right? And again, you can do the Johnny Depp thing, and that's trivial because that's easy. So I decided to go a little bit harder. Who wrote the theme, Yo-Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me?
Extensio.
Extensio, right? Atencio. So he was also, this is great, he was also the designer of the nursery sequence shot in Mary Poppins, which starred Dick Van Dyke.
That I didn't
Right.
know.
Dick Van Dyke was in Curious George this year with Clint Howard. And Clint Howard was in My Dog Skip in 2000 with the superlative Kevin Bacon.
So Len, does that mean that prior to this year, you couldn't have done this with Pirates of the Caribbean?
No, there's a ton of things you could have done with Pirates of the Caribbean.
Johnny Depp.
You could have done Johnny Depp. You could have done.
Oh, that's right.
Really, all the Imagineers who worked on the attractions were generally speaking, either credited or uncredited in a lot of the Disney films of the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Mark Davis, even though he was an animator, was in a lot of films, and it's easy to trace back most of the attractions that way. In fact, for anyone who's listening, this is really not that difficult to do. It's more entertaining than it is hard. So really, on some of these, I went for the more interesting sort of, with a little bit of a stretch, because a lot of these things it's really easy to do. Even the attractions without characters or without actors or anything like that, it's still pretty straightforward. The most interesting one I have on this list, by the way, is Cinderella's Golden Carousel. So. We mentioned the Jungle Cruise before. Was the 1951 movie The African Queen. Humphrey Bogart's in that. Actually, the Oracle of Bacon is down right now. Otherwise, I would get you that list. But clearly, it's easy to go. I think Pierce Brosnan is involved with in this particular one, if I recall correctly. But so we'll skip Jungle Cruise. Go ahead.
I was going to say I would have been more impressed, Glenn, if you had done the 6 Degrees of Separation for the Magic Kingdom for Mike Scopa.
I can do it. I can do it right now. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay, so Scopa and I worked together on the unofficial guide. I also worked with, actually, I don't even need to be involved. Scopa worked on the unofficial guide. Jim Hill's on the unofficial guide. Jim Hill worked with John Candy. As a comedy writer, John Candy was in JFK with Kevin Bacon. How's that? How's that, baby? Right there.
Very nice. I'm impressed.
That's awesome.
Me and Kevin.
Kevin Bacon, exactly like that. Yeah.
So let's move on. Are we done with Adventureland?
Yeah, we're done with Adventureland. If we move on to Frontierland, Splash Mountain's kind of interesting because, of course, it was based on the film Song of the South, 1946, right? Yep. And James Baskett played Uncle Remus in the film. And, Matt, I know you know this. He was in Revenge of the Zombies in 1943 with John Carradine.
John Carradine.
And John Carradine was in Portnoy's Complaint in 1972 with Kevin Conway. Kevin Conway, along apparently with everyone else, was in the film Mystic River.
Mystic River with Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. And it's funny because you start playing this game for a while, and there's like 2 or 3 films in which everyone is linked to Kevin Bacon, and one of them is Mystic River. And the other one's JFK, by the way.
Huh.
That apparently everybody and their brother was in one of those 2 films.
Now wait, why would I know about Space Invaders or whatever?
Revenge of the Zombies. I was just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was making sure I didn't do something. I was like, you should?
Exactly.
Is that the MGM Studios?
Yeah, hold on a second. Oh, funny.
Let's move on to Big Thunder.
Big Thunder, right? All right. So one of the songs, so Big Thunder has no characters, right? One of the songs played in the background music of Big Thunder is from the 1975 movie The Apple Dumpling Gang, which starred Bill Bixby, right, of the Incredible Hulk, and he was Russell Donovan in the film. Bill Bixby was also in Under the Yum Yum Tree in 1963 with Jack Lemmon, and Jack Lemmon was in JFK with the
illustrious,
illuminative Kevin Bacon. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Tom Sawyer Island?
Tom Sawyer Island. Tom Sawyer Island was well, of course, based on the book Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Most recent Disney film adaptation of that is, of course, Tom and Huck. I know you have this on DVD, Matt.
Oh, right.
Starring,
Next to my Revenge of the Zombie.
Exactly. Starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He was in Man of the House in 1995 with Jim Smith. Jim Smith was in Mystic River with
Mystic River again.
the incomparable Kevin Bacon.
There's no Top Gun references you can pull over here?
That's right. I mean, if Tom Cruise, I'll have to find that one out. That'd be great.
You gotta
Was Kevin Bacon?
He was. Wait. No, I'm confusing Top Gun.
No.
Sorry. I'm confusing Top Gun with A Few Good Men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the You Can't Handle the Truth. So.
You can't exactly. There's your technical summary.
You're out of line.
All right. So the next one is Country Bear Jamboree, and of course Tex Ritter is the voice of Big Al there. Tex Ritter was the singer Tex Ritter. Tex Ritter was in the Nashville Rebel in 1966 with Henny Youngman. Henny Youngman was in Goodfellas in 1990 with Beau Starr. Beau Starr was in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 with the immortal Kevin Bacon.
So many household names in here, Len.
Henny Youngman, you know Henny. You know, it's really interesting because I was doing the Tomorrowland Indy Speedway, and I was determined. This is my Tomorrowland thing. I was determined to do it without referencing any Disney people. And did you know you can link the race car driver Al Unser to Kevin Bacon?
Somehow it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, apparently it was he did at the opening of the Walt Disney World. It was Al Unser, Bobby Unser, and Buddy Hackett did a race on the machines. So you take Buddy Hackett and you can get to on the automobile. So you can take Buddy Hackett and you can get to Kevin Bacon. Yeah. I know.
Haunted Mansion?
Oh, let's do the Liberty Bell Riverboat first because this was interesting.
Okay.
All right, so the Liberty Bell Riverboat was originally named the Richard F. Irvine, after a long-time Disney employee, and the name was changed in 1996. I got this, by the way, from Lou Mangello's book. Prior to Disney, Dick Irvine worked for many years in Hollywood as an art director on films. His earliest credit as an art director was in the 1939 film Winter Carnival, starring Ann Sheridan. Ann Sheridan was in, this is what I was going to title my autobiography. I Was a Male War Bride, 1949, with Ken Tobey. Ken Tobey was in Hero at Large in 1980 with the incomparable Kevin Bacon.
Wow, that's a big.
That's a stretch one right there, yeah.
You do what you can.
1939 to 1980. Wow.
I know. That was one heck of a career. So.
We're going to have to boost your salary on this show.
Actually, not the biggest span, actually. The biggest span's coming up. The biggest span that I found so far is 78 years, and it's coming up right now. So, Hall of Presidents.
All right.
So, the obvious ones are like Clinton or Ford or Nixon or something like that. Anybody, or Kennedy. Some people who'd appeared in films. I'd actually gone with, tried to find the oldest, the first president to appear in a film, and apparently it's Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy Roosevelt was in Womanhood, The Glory of the Nation in 1917 with Walter McGrail.
Hey, Scopo, weren't you there for the premiere?
Yeah, he was there for the inauguration. It was a cold, dark day. Oh, the sea was angry that day, my friend.
You and Teddy go way back, huh?
Exactly.
So
Teddy Roosevelt. So Teddy was he was in this movie with Walter McGrail. Walter McGrail was in Dick Tracy versus Crime Inc. in 1941 with Wally Rose. Wally Rose was in Murder in the First in 1995 with
let me guess.
a legendary Kevin Bacon.
That's just 70.
78 years.
78 years.
78 years.
1917 to
1995.
That's not even one centennial of Scopa's age, so that's pretty good.
I know, really. It's like, all right, so Haunted Mansion. The name that pops up a lot in some of these things too is, of course, Thurl Ravenscroft, the longtime Disney Imagineer. He actually sung in Grim Grinning Ghosts, but he was also in Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Did you know that?
He was.
He was. If you looked on the IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, he's there. Anyway, he was in Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 1977 with Clint Howard. Clint Howard was in My Dog Skip in the year 2000 with the fabulous Kevin Bacon.
Are you sure Thurl Ravenscroft is the same guy? I mean, that's like Joe Smith, basically. That kind
Yeah,
of name,
exactly.
you
I mean, yeah, and I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's like 6 of them accredited in.
know? Of course. I mean, that
Exactly.
name is just, it's out there, man. It's like whole pages and pages in the Yellow Book.
Oh yeah, I mean, just it's like Smith. Exactly. You can't get around it.
What are we up to now?
Fantasyland.
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Again, there's so many things you could do here. This is one of my favorites, though. 1953 Disney movie. You guys know who Ub Iwerks is? Ub Iwerks, one of the original partners of Walt Disney back in the day.
Yep.
So the deal was he originally worked for the Disney Enterprises back right around the time I guess Mickey Mouse was coming out, and then he actually drew many of the first Disney cartoons, the Mickey Mouse cartoons himself. Then he left to form his own studios, and in fact, on Boomerang, I think you can see some of I think the studio still runs, actually. The Ub Iwerks studio still runs, but later on in life, he actually came back to work for Disney. And in fact, in 1953, he was credited with, quote, special processes on the film Peter Pan's Flight. Interestingly enough, he was also in Alice's Wonderland in 1923 with Walt himself. So this is my one Walt reference. I've got Walt in here one time. Walt was in The Reluctant Dragon in 1941 with Jeff Corey. Jeff Corey was in Beethoven's Second in 1993 with Maury Chaykin. Maury Chaykin was in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 with the extraordinary Kevin Bacon.
Nice.
Thanks.
Move on to Small World.
Small World. Okay, according to Lou Mangello's book, Disney artist Mary Blair designed the overall look and feel of the attraction for the 1964 World's Fair. This was the UNICEF attraction. Mary Blair was in Saludos Amigos with Frank Thomas, not the baseball player, the actor. Frank Thomas was in The Iron Giant in 1999 with, of course, Harry Connick Jr. Harry Connick Jr. was in My Dog Skip in 2000 with the tremendous Kevin Bacon.
I can just see Len assigning some of his researchers tasks. Okay, you go get wait times,
That's
you
right.
go measure full fluffiness, and you go see what Kevin Bacon's link is on space announcing.
Exactly.
You mean, Matt, you don't think that Len would hog all the Kevin Bacon stuff?
Oh,
Exactly.
God. Anyway.
Gonna think of himself, I know.
I
Yeah.
know.
Hog, get it?
Yeah, I got it. You're I got to catch up on PhilharMagic.
PhilharMagic. Okay, lots of Donald's dialogue in PhilharMagic was edited in from older sound bites that were from when Clarence Nash was doing Donald's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And Clarence Nash was in The Reluctant Dragon in 1941 with Jeff Corey.
Yeah.
Jeff Corey was in Beethoven's Second in 1993 with Maury Chaykin. Maury Chaykin was again in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 with the memorable Kevin Bacon.
Cinderella's Golden Carousel.
Cinderella's Golden Carousel. All right, so here's the interesting thing. The Cinderella's Golden Carousel was discovered by Disney in Olympic Park in, of course, Maplewood, New Jersey in 1967. And Maplewood is where early film star Teresa Wright, born 1918, died in 2005, grew up. Teresa was in Somewhere in Time in 1980 with Joe B. Kearney. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm.
She was and Joby was in Novocaine in 2001 with the prominent Kevin Bacon.
He was in that movie?
According to IMDb.
That's a stretch.
That one's a stretch.
Yeah.
You got the town that it was found in and someone who lived in the town. I thought you were going people to people here, but I'll give it to you.
I'm doing what I can here, man.
Anybody who went
I mean,
to that,
it would have been easy to use the film Cinderella, right? That's trivial. But this was a little bit more of a stretch. This required a little bit of digging.
That's true.
I should get bonus points for the work.
An extra bonus for your paycheck.
Twice as much money next time.
Let's move on to Snow White.
Snow White. Okay, 1937 Disney film. Marion Darlington is credited with quote bird sounds and warbling voices, much like I am credited at work with doing the exact same tasks. Marion was in Pinocchio as well in 1940 with Don Brody. Don Brody was in Murphy's Law in 1986 with David Heyman, and Mr. Heyman was in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 with the renowned Kevin Bacon.
Don Brody did some voices in Pinocchio. Is that what this?
Yep.
Okay.
So he did something in Pinocchio. I'm assuming that's what it is.
Brody, huh?
Let's move on to Winnie the Pooh.
Hold on 1 second. Winnie the Pooh? Sure. We gonna do Dumbo? I've got an Ariel's Grotto in here.
All in due time. We're making our rounds.
All right. This one's pretty easy, actually. Paul Winchell's the voice of Tigger in the movie, in the Winnie the Pooh movie. He was also in Clint Howard was also in that movie, and Clint Howard was in My Dog Skip in 2000 with Kevin Bacon.
Dumbo.
Dumbo, okay. 1941 Disney film features the Hall Johnson Choir as, quote, crows, parentheses, singing voice. All right, so they actually got this. Hall Johnson, born 1888, died 1970, was a Georgia native and also a respected choral director. He formed the Hall Johnson Choir in 1925 to preserve the integrity of the Negro spiritual as it had been performed during the era of slavery. Of course, this is all according to the Georgia Encyclopedia Online, by the way. So the choir itself appeared in many films, among them the 1939 story Way Down South. Also, Don Brody was in that film, and Don Brody was in Murphy's Law in 1986 with David Heyman. Heyman was in Where the Truth Lies with the now infamous Kevin Bacon. So I went with the choir there. Again, I could have done the simple thing.
Yeah.
Bonus points for the work.
And that leaves us with Ariel's Grotto.
All right. Well, everyone knows that former Miss America, Leanza Cornett, used to play Ariel at the studios, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She was in the Lords of Los Angeles in 1990.
Whoa, wait, back it up here. That has nothing to do with Ariel's Grotto.
It's Ariel. Ariel's the link.
Ariel.
All right, I'll give it to you. I would have preferred a Little Mermaid link like the film.
Oh, I see.
Too easy.
Wait a minute. We don't know if she may have played. We don't know. She may have also filled in for Ariel at Ariel's Grotto.
Well, until Lou Mangello backs it up,
Yeah.
I'm putting this one under review. There's an asterisk, right?
You're hoisting the protest flag, are you?
That's all right.
Yeah. With Don Brody, too.
We'll continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
Anyway, so Leanza Cornett was in the Lords of Los Angeles in 1999 with Lisa Ann Hadley. And Lisa Ann was in Dead Above Ground in 2002 with Reagan Gomez Preston. You guys saw both these movies, right?
Yeah.
They're
in my library.
You'll always remember where you were the first time you saw those. Anyway, Reagan was in Beauty Shop in 2005 with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
And that does it for those three lines.
Oh, Mad Tea Party.
My mistake.
Mad Tea Party. Okay, so based on the 1951 Alice in Wonderland cartoon, not many people know that Disney's first adaptation of the novel, the Alice in Wonderland novel, was in 1923 with the short live-action film Alice's Wonderland.
They would if they went to Walt Disney One Man's Dream at the Disney MGM.
That's right. That's right. Or if they read Lou Mangello's book or listened to our podcast.
There you go.
In any event, Alice Davis played Alice in the 1923 film. Virginia Davis, her mom, I believe, was also in the film. She played in The Harvey Girls in 1946 with Angela Lansbury. Angela Lansbury was in Nanny McPhee in 2005 with Colin Firth. Colin Firth was in Where the Truth Lies in 2005 as well.
Great.
With the fantastic Kevin Bacon. I
So,
think that covers all those attractions.
Let's go over this one again. Alice Davis played Alice.
Alice. Right.
And
Virginia
Alice,
Davis, her mom, was also in the film.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, we'll have to have Len back on to discuss the...
I get to be back on the show?
Yeah.
Excellent. How about that?
Len, triple your pay for this episode.
Thank you so much.
I want to see you do this with Epcot.
Yeah, that might be tough.
Okay, mission space. Well, actually, no. I guess you can. All you need to do is check to see which actors performed in some of the pre-show sequences.
Yeah, that would be easy. Yeah,
that'd be easy.
Well, of course, before we leave, I just want to say a reminder that our next live show is this Sunday, July 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern. All the details on how to listen and how to call in and ask us questions can be found online at our website at www.wdwtoday.com. And that's it for us today. This has been episode number 132 of Walt Disney World Today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Kevin Bacon, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.